You'll remember that in 2016 we rebranded the company from Calian Technologies Limited to Calian Group Limited. In April we actually had the opportunity to open the Toronto Stock Exchange, and from a personal perspective that was a great opportunity for me personally, as you can imagine. That was an honor. And more importantly to me, I wanted to signal to the markets that we are embracing our diversity as a company and why it is so important that we actually have a small change in name, but a very focused change in strategy. We also saw last year with the financial results a very strong investor relations campaign, and frankly, lots of announcements and lots of communications. Our share price reflected, I think, the net effect of all those results. We actually outperformed the Toronto Stock Exchange main index as well as the small cap index. We continue to look at indexes and peer groups as far as where to gauge our performance. For right now, this is where we are. But as I said, I'm very happy to see that we continue to outperform both of those indexes. As well, we're seeing some new visibility, I think, for the company. Recently, this is a Global Mail small cap ranking that came out just about a month ago. And Calian ranked number 2 in this list, highlighting companies with a market cap of $100 million to $1.5 billion, offering at least 2% dividend yield and payout ratio less than 100%. The goal of the article was to search for smaller dividend-paying companies that may offer attractive returns with possibly less volatility, and to rank Canadian dividend-paying small caps with the best mix of return on equity, asset turnover, long-term debt to equity, 3-month consensus earnings estimates, and short interest as a percentage of shares outstanding. I can say that we monitor our feeds every day, and we continue to see more and more updates. Sharon, our director of marketing, is here. Every day we're seeing more and more visibility in the company. And I think, again, that's just a combination of a bunch of factors, but I'm actually very happy to see it. As importantly, when we went into 2016, we had on the business plan some major re-wins. A lot of our training business was going through a recompete cycle. SED had a Canadian Space Agency element that was going out to recompete. So I'm happy to report that we re-won all of those key contracts, a re-win rate of over 100%. I don't know how you do over 100%. I don't know, okay, 100%. And as well, a key element of our strategy is customer retention. And what you see on the other side of the chart there is that letters from the City of Toronto, a major program for us of implementation, a first-time fixed-price project for our IT group, as well as Bruce Power, letters of commendation on the excellent delivery we continue to do. And I say that's just a subset of what we see across the company, very high customer satisfaction. So 2016, by many accounts, was a very successful year. And as we focus on the way ahead, I just wanted to give you an update on kind of what's going through my mind every day on the strategy of the company to continue the momentum that we've actually built over the last couple of years. First and foremost, I believe what differentiates Calian is the diversity of our services and our proven track record to deliver a distinct set of services both domestically and globally. It is rare to find a company that has IT professional services, healthcare, training, engineering, and manufacturing serving numerous sectors. But through this diversity comes stability and the ability to weather the downturns in one segment and capitalize on upturns in the other. So moving forward as CEO, I'm going to continue to embrace that diversity. We see customers, the customers are this is just a subset of our long-term customers here, but they really are the who's who in their respective segment. We have long-standing relationships with our customers based on continued delivery excellence, high value in our culture. Generally, the feedback we get is customers enjoy working with us because of our commitment to quality and delivery, and enjoy coming back and back to us many times for continued projects. As customer retention is a key element of our strategy, this is so important to us. One of our new analysts actually talked to me when I was in Toronto 2 weeks ago and said that he actually did a lot of independent analysis of our customer base and polled a subset of our customers across everything we do. And he shook my hand and he said, Kevin, I've never seen across such a diverse company everyone with the same consistent message. The loyalty you have within your customers is very strong. They value what you do. You're very fair price. They actually see value. And in the same spirit, they look forward to working with us longer term. So it's always nice to get that independent assessment. And from my perspective, that will be the foundation to continue what we go on. What I've done with each of these segments, I've organized the company to optimize, ensure we can focus on the diversity. And each of the executives and the 4-pillar strategy, as I say, that's something the executives in the room here may shake because I've heard it so many times. But fundamentally, it's a simple strategy. We're a diverse company. I like to have a very simple strategy. So we've grounded the company on 4 pillars. So every one of our segments have to answer pretty well 4 questions to me with regard to these elements. Customer retention, number one. How do we ensure we grow the company, but not at the cost of what's made us so successful, which is our very high customer satisfaction metrics? Number two, customer diversification. We have a lot of business in government. About 60% of our revenues are in government. But the reality is, even within government, we can diversify. But for us right now, for long-term stable growth, I want to make sure we diversify not only in government, but outside of government into new and targeted sectors. Evolution of our service lines, to me, it's a fundamental concept. We have to ensure that we challenge ourselves to stay relevant. The world is changing at a very fast pace. And what we have to make sure is that we, through research and development, through innovation, that we stay relevant in the world, and more importantly, look for opportunities to differentiate and increase our gross margins longer term. As you can imagine, in 5 very distinct businesses, that is not an insignificant challenge. But the way I've organized, as I've mentioned, is each of those service lines have subject matter experts, me, sitting on top of them. They have all the P&L responsibility and all the opportunity to come to Jacqueline and I with any business case required to invest in their service lines. And the last one is continuous improvement. What I don't want to do is grow the company in double digits and our operating expenses in parallel. What I want to ensure is that we're leveraging innovation in both how we operate and how we deliver, to find those opportunities, to find out how we can actually scale the company without necessarily increasing headcount all the time. Our division in Saskatoon, Pat there is going to come up in a second and say a few words. It's a 50-year-old division. The division in Ottawa, it's been around 35 years, so rest assured there's still opportunities for innovation and opportunities for leveraging innovation in how we operate. Okay, so the division in Ottawa, as you know, we go to market with 2 segments, the Business Technology Services Division in Ottawa and the Systems Engineering Division in Saskatoon. So I'll provide you a quick update on BTS, as we call it. And as I said, Pat's here today, so I've asked him to come up and say a few words on SED. Health services. So as a reminder, people ask, how did you get into healthcare? If you remember 2005, we won the National Defence Health Services contract. At that time, we really had no background in healthcare. But the reality is, with our relationship with National Defence, the incumbent provider was failing, and this is a critical program for D&D. We bid the program with no healthcare experience and won it. And at that time, what the Defence was looking for was a guaranteed program delivery partner, a proven program delivery partner for a national scope. So move on to now, over 12, 13 years, we continue to have a superior rating on that contract. But the contract is an asset, but I tell you the biggest asset we built out of that contract is not necessarily the contract. When you serve 32 bases across 60 some odd categories of healthcare practitioners, there's no question in my mind what we built is the largest national network of medical practitioners in Canada. There's nobody else that's had to serve that varied scope of healthcare practitioners across such a national focus. So what we've done since I've come on board is, number one, Scott Murray's here today. He's a Vice President of Health Services. He's a pharmacist by training, an MBA, a lawyer, because I guess he's bored. But more important to me, he brings that subject matter expertise in healthcare. So we ensure to have somebody who can lead this segment, who understands this segment. Number two, over the last couple of years, we've continued to acquire to help us grow in this space. Our acquisition of Primacy in 2012 gave us an exclusive relationship with Loblaws to operate 150 medical clinics across the country. And we continue to look for those opportunities on the national platform to ensure we grow our national footprint. We now have a clinic up in Fort McKay, Alberta, in the oil and gas sector, and we have added more customers this year across numerous sectors. Correctional facilities, for example, is one that we're starting to get a sweet spot for, both in now BC and Ontario. As mentioned in our press release, our D&D Health Services contract RFP has been released. The new contract will start in April 1st, 2018 and runs to 2022, with options to extend an additional 8 years, so 12 years in total. The contract scope has been expanded and will now include RCMP and Veterans Affairs, as well as D&D cadets. We expect competition, but frankly, from my perspective, our focus doesn't change. Our focus remains on continuing to earn our high performance rating on this contract. We're rated as superior, as well as deploying all the necessary resources to ensure we submit a quality proposal. Training services. So again, back to our relationship with National Defence, and over the years of training, what we're doing now, we're taking all that intellectual capital we built with National Defence and moving it into new sectors. We focus on training and teaching, consulting, and emergency response preparedness training. As I mentioned, National Defence right now continues to be a big customer for this, and as well, the demand has been very, very strong over the last couple of years. One I'm most excited about in this segment is our emergency response training preparedness offering. You just have to read the paper every day and recognize the reality of our world right now with increase in terrorism, increase in natural disasters, organizations are recognizing it's no longer acceptable just to have a plan sitting on a shelf, that they basically need to actually go out and conduct emergency response preparedness exercises. This is true for utilities, oil and gas, nuclear. You think about the earthquake in Japan with the Fukushima disaster, an earthquake followed by a tsunami and a nuclear reactor. The reality is people are waking up. So we've seen a good pull of demand on this service outside of defense. And a great example of that is the emergency response training capabilities, is the relationship we have established with Bruce Power, the nuclear reactor in Ontario. We started a relationship with Bruce Power a couple of years ago, and what this chart represents is our exercise Huron Challenge 4, it was called. Literally 8 months of training and exercise went into this program. Over 1,000 participants from over 75 organizations participated, and it was the largest emergency response in Ontario history. It now provides emergency response education and training to many of the Canadian nuclear facilities. So we were engaged to provide all the services to plan, conduct, and perform a post-exercise review of this exercise. And since then, we've continued to work with Bruce Power, and last fall completed another exercise called Huron Resolved.